So I'm jumping straight into this video. I'm going in first with some 95 under eye concealer all over the lid. I apply it with my finger and then just buff it out with, or apply it with a brush and then just buff it out with my finger. And then I'm going to be highlighting the brow bone with 395 shadow, and then I'm just going to set the whole lid with a cream shadow. If I don't mention any numbers of shades, they'll all be listed below because I don't have the numbers in front of me here now. But I'm just going in with the first transition shade, which is going to be my highest, and I'm just going to start building that up. As I get darker with my colours, I'm just going to go lower onto the lid. But I did find myself taking a lot more time blending with this, just because I've never tried to blend purple and orange together. So I took my time. So I switch brushes to just a smaller brush when I want to apply the purple, just because I want it to be as opaque as I can. And I want to concentrate it a little bit more. I don't need it as buffed out as the orange. So yeah, I went in with the first shade of purple. The second shade of purple that I used, I just concentrated it more towards the outer corner. And then whatever product is left on the brush, I bring to the inner corner of the eye. I do switch back and forth between each brush just to make sure that everything is blended nicely together and really seamlessly. And then the last shade of purple that I'm going in with here now is the darkest shade. So that's why it's the lowest on the lid, and you can see I'm just concentrating it on the very outer corner. So moving on to cutting the crease, I like to use a lip brush because of how small it is, and to actually cut it I use the same under eye concealer that we used all over the lid. So I prefer to use a concealer instead of a gel because I prefer the consistency of a concealer. I don't find it dries as quick as a gel, so I have a little bit more time to kind of like play around with it. So once I get the shape that I like, I'm going to fill in the rest of the lid, pat it out with my finger, and then I'm just going to buff some 63 blusher just in between where the dark and the edge of the concealer meets, if that makes sense. You can see better what I'm doing rather than explaining it. Yeah, and then I'm going to set the concealer with a cream shadow. I don't always do this, but I just wanted to do it in this case because I wanted the kind of bright concealer to show through, if that makes sense. Oh god. I'm taking some clear duo glue on a concealer brush, and this is what I use to stick down all my glitters. I prefer this rather than like a base or Duraline or anything, because in my head it's glue. Your glitter isn't going to budge. Then taking a clean flat brush, I'm patting XL7 on the inner corner of the lid. Then I'm literally just going to use the same brush, flip it around and pick up the 47, the pink glitter, and just kind of fade it out with that. I feel like watching is much easier rather than me explaining because I'm literally making no sense at all. I'm going in now with 77 black gel liner, and I'm just going to line my lid, do my wing, and for my wing I like to map it out first with my eyes open, and then I'll just drag it back in like you see here. Very slowly, and then I'm just going to clean it up with some waterproof makeup remover. Now moving on to underneath the eyes, I'm just taking the same 95 under eye concealer, applying a little bit and blending it out with my finger. I like to do this when I have no skin on, just because it's giving the shadow something to stick to rather than just my bare skin. And literally whatever I did on top, I'm just going to copy underneath. So I'm going in with the first shade that we used, which is going to be the furthest away underneath the eye because that is my transition. And then I'm going to use the same purples, the closest to the lash line, and just blend them all together. I'm going to highlight my inner corner with 395 shadow and a pencil brush. I'm then going to pop some cream kohl pencil in my waterline. I did my skin off camera because I'll have a separate video up doing my skin. And then I just go back in just to make sure everything is blended together nicely. I popped on mascara off camera as well, and then that was the finished look. Yeah, so this was a recreation of a look that I saw on Instagram. I'll leave the picture and the artist down below as well, but thank you everyone for watching. Let me know what you think, and let me know what you want to see next as well, and I'll see you in my next video.